PennsylvaniaBeer.com and Bison Beverage of Lewisburg presents Beer Time.
Beer Time. I'm your host, Scott Bernstein. Chad Evans, the producer on the couch.
How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing really well.
You
and
look
we are
great.
here with Allan Combs II.
Howdy.
And who is the first? Your father?
Yes, the first is my father.
Okay.
naturally.
Is your father musical? Like you?
No, he is minus a digit, so he can't play any instruments. He's got a little...
Really?
Yes, and but he does enjoy music quite a bit. So.
All right. So, hey, we got Harvest Autumn Ale. It's a IPA by Southern Tier. Let's crack this open today. This is the beer of choice since the coolness is in the air. Hey, Chad, you ready?
Ready?
Here you go. Hey! Right in there, baby.
There you go.
Okay. Here you go, my man.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Right on.
Okay, so what do we got here? Southern Tier. It's a seasonal beer. You can get this at the Bison Beverage.
Naturally.
Well, you know, sometimes they foam a little.
It happens to the best of us, I suppose.
It's a really good, zesty, seasonal. You can taste the... What can you taste?
I'm waiting for it
Nutmeg.
to. I'm waiting for it to calm down a little bit because you
Calm
threw it
down.
at me.
Well, yours did go airborne.
It's really good though.
That's all right.
All right, Allan, you're a musician, a local musician. You're one of the few people locally that does it for a living. How did you get here? In childhood, did you know you were musical?
When I was very young, I think like most of the population, I was obsessed with Back to the Future and watched that and saw Marty McFly play a big guitar and really thought that I wanted to do that at 11 years old or 12 years old. So it kind of stuck. Most kids, or when you're a kid, you want to be a firefighter or a policeman or astronaut. Apparently, it was just guitar from the very beginning, so it never really changed.
What was that moment when you were a kid, when you sang a song or played a song, and you said, you know what, I can do this. I can do this for a living.
Ooh, for a living.
Yeah. What was that
That
moment?
wasn't until much later, and lots of practice in the bedroom. That doesn't mean fiddling with myself, Scott. Practice in the bedroom apparently means something.
Come and save me.
I'm not saving you.
Practice in the bedroom obviously means something to Scott that it does not mean to me. But,
Where's Scott at? Oh, Scott's in his bedroom plucking his guitar.
Yeah.
And he's not
I
a
wasn't
musician.
musical, so I was probably plucking something else.
slap at the bass. Yeah.
Okay. So now, when you're a local musician, there's economics involved. I don't want to ask you how much you charge, but what creates the dollar amount? I know you play in some groups that have like three of you. You play alone sometimes. I've seen you play with another person. Does that fall into play when you start to figure out when you're going to play somewhere? How does that work?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, the amount of patrons you can fit in the bar itself is a big thing. The amount of business they do, like if they're in a major city, like if you're in Hershey or if you're in a downtown bar or something, you're gonna have more foot traffic. So obviously you can ask for a little more money, but for the most part, it seems like there's kind of like a standard that people follow.
Well, how far out do you play?
Well, I mean, the East Coast. So
Okay.
all the way down to Florida and back so far. So.
All right.
So I haven't gone west yet, but I'd love to go west. I just have a feeling that I'm never going to come back.
Well, let me ask you. One time you said to me that the waiter in Nashville sometimes can play better than anybody you've been around.
Well, yeah, it's just like, if you're a musician, it's comparative to being an actor and going to L.A. and sitting down in a fancy restaurant and the person serving you is a better actor than you.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
It's the same thing in Nashville. You go sit down, and the guy that runs the fryer can probably melt Eddie Van Halen. So it's competition at its finest there. It's
Allan, you're locally from here?
yeah, I'm from Bloomsburg.
From Bloomsburg, born and raised, right? So it's not exactly Nashville, New York City. It's not L.A.,
No.
right? It's not anything like that. So what would you say to inspiring musicians like people picking up a guitar want to be employed just by playing music? Like, what would your recommendation be to go and do this?
To get started,
Yeah.
have support around you from your family and your friends. Make sure you don't suck first.
It takes a
That's
village.
good.
Yeah.
Make sure you practice in front of people before you even attempt to do these kind of things. Like show what you've got, see where it's going to go. But for the most part, just play. Just play. I'm really happy to see a lot of local community things for children learning how to play instruments. And I really think that I would not encourage anyone to get into the music business.
Right.
I would encourage them to play an instrument and fall in love with music,
Yeah.
most definitely. Because that you can take with you for life. Music business is a whole nother monster, I think, unto itself.
Yeah, sure.
But to get in your foot in the door, just go and play. Go to an open mic. Be around other musicians. That's the best advice I can give anybody. Is spend time around other musicians that have done it, and then you'll learn the ropes. That's what I did.
What was your first paid gig?
Ooh, I think I was 16. A place that's still open, Phillips Emporium in
Yeah,
Bloomsburg.
sure.
I played there many
Really?
times when I was a kid. Yeah. After we cleaned out all of the trash, we got paid, I think, $100. And that was the most money I had made at that point.
Cool.
I felt really good.
And was it then, Allan, that you said to yourself, like, oh, maybe I'm good enough to get paid to do this?
No, it took a while for
Yeah.
me. I had a lot of different odd jobs throughout the years, working in different careers, basically trying to satiate myself when it came to being creative, and never found anything that really got there for me. And then I continued to play guitar and just kind of realized maybe one day I could make money doing it.
Yeah.
It kind of all fell in. I didn't really expect to do anything like I'm doing now. It just kind of happened.
Well, I know you're a huge Tom Petty fan. How did that come about?
Every morning, my parents, they love music. My parents, they don't play music, but they love music and they appreciate. Actually, I just went to the Foghat BTO concert with them and sat in the rain like an idiot for 3 hours with them on Monday at the Bloomsburg Fair. It was a
Nice.
great show, by the way. My parents, they love Tom Petty and a bunch of classic rock and Motown and funk and soul music.
Sure.
And every Saturday morning, to get the lazy kids out of bed, they would crank up the radio downstairs and turn on the classic rock. And Tom Petty's Full Moon Fever was in heavy rotation when I was a kid. So that
Do you
was
play Tom Petty?
I do. A few years ago, a group I play in, Soul Medicine, had a
yeah.
show at the Austin Dam Festival out near Coudersport, Pennsylvania, in the middle of nowhere. It's great.
There's an Austin, Pennsylvania.
Yes, it's the more famous Austin, obviously.
Wow.
And
God's country.
yes, lots of people, very little teeth. Very nice people, though. So playing in Austin's a great time. A lot of the people there, amazing folks coming down to hang out from all over Pennsylvania.
A lot of gummies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have an end goal, Allan? Like when you're in the music industry, like it's like, okay, I made it, I'm good. Or do you just
Yeah, to make a living wage playing music, to make a teacher's salary a year, that I would consider that a giant success as someone
Yes.
who doesn't have a manager, a booking agent, does everything on their own for the past 8
you
years.
do it all.
Unfortunately, yes, I hate it.
yeah.
I hate that part.
Now, do you have a favorite tavern you go to?
To be quite honest, I don't drink very often besides when I am playing.
And when you're here?
And I enjoy a lot of the places that I do play because of their beer selection. So occasionally I'll have a little something when I'm playing. I personally love Pine Otter Brewing. That's
Oh, yeah.
one of my favorites.
They do a great job over there.
And they
Fantastic
always
job.
have a new beer. Every time I'm there, they've got something, and I love sours. I'm a big
You
fan
like
of
sours?
sours.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, I'm not into
I wouldn't have
sours.
picked that from Allan.
Yeah, I
No.
like that. I like those. They're a little bit of fruity in there. That's pretty good. You know?
I can maybe drink half of one. That's about it. I'm not a sour guy. I like a good pale ale. I like a malty
Okay.
beer. Like this is a malty seasonal beer, so I'm into something like this. Have you ever played in front of a really small audience and it scares you how small? Like we're talking under 5.
Of course, I've been playing music full time for 8 years. I would be lying if I didn't tell you that I've played for an audience smaller than 5 people.
Wow. See, at one time in the early 90s, I had a gal I was dating at the time said, "Oh, let's go up to Fiddlesticks."
Fiddlesticks.
And Kansas was playing. I'm going, oh, Kansas. Yeah,
yeah.
they had some big hits. And we go up there, and there was like 11 people.
For Kansas.
Kansas at Fiddlesticks back in the early, we're talking like 91. Talking way back in the day.
You never know.
Yeah.
You never know. One of my favorite pictures to exist is a picture of Tyler Childers about 5 years ago, and he's playing in a Pennsylvania bar in the corner, and everyone's on their phones, and you can tell nobody gives a shit at all about what he's doing. And then 4 or 5 years from then, now he's headlining stages and traveling all over the world, and is carrying the torch. Just some guy that nobody cared about, playing in the corner, playing his music. It's just kind of interesting to see.
I've seen Alison Krauss play in front of 60 people doing karaoke.
Ooh, that's cool.
In Coral Bay, St. John, with Robert Plant behind her. They went together, and he's just sitting there having a good time. And I think 80% of the people had no idea who was in the room at the time. And it was classic. It was so much fun.
I can't
Place
even
called
imagine.
Island Blues.
Nice.
Yeah, super cool. So you never know. You see some of these things happen, and they happen, and you're like, wow, I'm part of something, I guess.
Yeah.
Biggest crowd you ever played?
I think probably last year at the Carlisle Theater. I think there were like 400 or 500 people there.
That place is awesome.
I've never been there.
That was my besides playing at Spyglass Ridge a few years ago, in the tent, we had like a tent show where we had covered CCR at the time, and our friends Mystery Fire had covered Santana.
Okay.
And we played. That was a really good crowd. That was probably one of the biggest shows. But then the Carlisle Theater, that was really good.
Now, you write a lot of your own music. Okay. No problems playing covers?
Now that I'm in year 8 of doing this full time, yes, definitely problems playing covers. I'd rather play my own music than other people's music. Definitely.
All right.
But that's so tough.
It
right?
is really tough, and when people find out that you can sing Led Zeppelin adequately, then
Right.
that's all they want. Sweet Home Alabama
guilty
and Mustang
of it.
Sally and all that fun stuff.
Do you know
Tangerine.
any
Yeah,
AC/DC?
You
exactly.
got to play Tangerine.
And ACD, all that.
Do you know
all that.
AC/DC songs?
I'll get some of that
Play
tonight.
some good music we can dance to.
Well, let me tell you guys, I understand there's a bad storm that is pounding McSheck's. So
I heard about this.
honor of McSheck's, I'm wearing the jersey. You ever been to McSheck's?
I
World's greatest tiki
have
bar.
not been, but thoughts and prayers to everybody
Thoughts
that's
and
down
prayers
there
to
right now. Yeah.
McSheck's. No, McSheck's is fantastic, and they have great shirts, and they're a lot of fun.
Obviously, look at that.
I'm just hoping that they can get through the storm. The surge is big up on the Panhandle.
I want to ask Allan where people can find his music.
Yeah, good point. That was actually my next question.
I want people to know where they can find you because I've known you for a while now, and you're a really good dude, and I find it very admirable to continue to pursue a career in the music industry, playing music full time, because it is hard.
Yeah.
It is hard to do.
Yeah.
Persistence.
A lot of people think I'm on like permanent vacation, and when they do assume that, I just get them even more angry and tell them that I'm already retired. And you usually see the terror behind their face of wanting to hurt me physically. But for the most part, it has been a crazy adventure, and I wouldn't change anything. But it is not easy.
No.
And
Where can we find your music?
you can find my music on my website, AllanCombs2music.com. You can find my whole schedule there as well. And on
Now, Allan Combs 2, the letter,
two
the
eyes.
number 2, two eyes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Roman numerals, yeah.
All right.
And I just released an EP, a solo EP, 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's on Spotify and Amazon Music and all the devil streaming services that I hate, but it's on all those things.
But you have to do that.
Yeah,
Right?
it's like basically at this point, putting out music is just like a business card,
Right.
Just to get some people interested, and that's what I did. The songs that I just put out are like raw. They're not demo versions, but it's just me and acoustic guitar singing my songs, and I plan on recording them with a full arrangement for a full album. So my idea is kind of drop an EP with 5 songs and then drop a 10-song album, so that every time, get people excited about a new album coming out because an EP comes out as well.
Well, I always said that you were an old soul in a young body. And the way he plays
Now I'm
comes
just
off
old.
that way. So, yeah, now you're just getting old. Now you're just starting to fit the form. Well, I want to thank you for coming by.
Yeah, thank you for
This
having
was
me.
a lot of fun. And, hey, PennsylvaniaBeer.com and Bison Beverage of Lewisburg wants to thank you, and peace.
PennsylvaniaBeer.com and Bison Beverage of Lewisburg presents Beer Time.
This podcast was produced by Stone State Entertainment.